Right, we have a kind of class activity that I normally do in class to help um, students understand um, the types of evaluation, like particularly multiple choice for this unit. And it's really thinking about identifying these leisure impacts theories. So there's going to be a bunch of scenarios that we're going to go through, and you basically need to think about what are the benefits or outcomes that is resulting from the leisure from that scenario, and then think of the theories that would best explain um, what is going on. And I say best, meaning that I would have a list of 4 to 5 theories, and you have to choose the very best one. I'm going to make them to be quite different from each other, and there won't be like overlap where you're wondering which one should it be. Is it this one or that one? I would kind of try to make them fairly obvious, okay? And generally only one theory is going to apply in the multiple choice. So scenario 1, Sally on Facebook. Sally was in a serious car accident at the age of 12, leaving her partially paralyzed with a head injury and impaired speech. Once a very popular and outgoing girl, following her rehabilitation, she experienced a period of withdrawal and social isolation. She started to spend more time connecting with others on the internet, particularly through Facebook. She was able to establish new online friendships with people like herself from all over the world, as well as renew past friendships. So, key things in this situation is obviously it's a lot to do with friendships or relationships. Now, it's also that, she was obviously in a car accident, so that kind of could imply coping theory. So my answers are that this would be formation of relationships. She's using internet and Facebook, social media to connect with friends and to meet new friends who also have similar experiences to her. It's also about identity formation. She used to be a very social person, so she's now trying to maintain social relationships again. So, because it's part of her identity. You could also say that she's also using, you know, um, leisure in this case, like online, like social media, as a form of coping. But I don't think so in this case because it is one of her, it's a lifelong condition that she has. So I would say that was the least one. It's really here about relationships and her identity. Scenario 2, David volunteers in a new city. David recently graduated from university in Alberta and has moved to St. John's to start a new job. He just experienced a breakup of an intimate relationship and has found the move stressful. He has no family or friends in the city and very few acquaintances. David grew up on a farm and has always enjoyed gardening. He joined a community garden and also asked to volunteer with the St. John's Farmers Market. At the community garden, he made some friends and they invited him to a party the following weekend. Okay, so obviously pretty key here. He's gone through some some serious, negative life events and stress. A move, broke up with a partner, and a new job, and he's in a lonely situation. So again, it's about formation of relationships. He's joining the community garden and volunteering in order to meet friends. It's identity formation. He grew up on a farm. He likes gardening. He thinks of himself, as that kind of a person. So joining the community garden, helps with his identity formation. And finally, you could say this is leisure buffer theory because he's using leisure in order to help him cope with those stressful life events in order to buffer the effects of the stress that he has going on with the major life events he has. Scenario 3, Matthew learns piano. Matthew is 40 years old, married, with young children. He has always been a physically active person and greatly enjoys the outdoors and nature. Matthew is an avid reader and home chef. Although he has always loved music, listening, collecting, learning about it, and concerts, he has never played a musical instrument past grade 8 music class. He even has a collection of musical instruments, but his self-consciousness and lack of perseverance are always hurdles in his self-teaching. Recently, he and his wife decided to register their son for their first music lessons, piano. Matthew decided to take the piano lessons with his son. He has been enjoying spending time with his son in this activity and enjoys practicing on his own each evening after the children fall asleep. So, pretty clear here that this is about formation of relationships. He's started the piano to bond with his son. So, they're taking lessons together. It's also about identity formation. He has obviously always viewed himself as someone who enjoys music, but has never made the leap to be a musician. So it's also about validating how he, his interests, but also how he views himself to develop his identity. Next scenario, jewelry making. Pamela's mother phoned yesterday with some upsetting news. Her grandmother has been diagnosed with a degenerative disease and has less than a year to live. When Pamela gets home from work, she wants to get her mind away from thoughts of her grandmother and sits down to watch TV and make some jewelry, which is one of her favorite activities. All right, obviously, that's a negative life event, and it's pretty clear in this case. Pamela is using like watching TV and jewelry making as a distraction. So this would be a reducing stresses through distraction, or or more broadly would be coping theories. Scenario 5, Marie's life of leisure. Marie is 94 years old and lives independently, alone. She receives some assistance with activities of daily living and is in relatively good health. Her children do not live nearby, but she has lots of other close family and friends. She has always enjoyed her flower and vegetable garden and continues this activity each day when there is no snow. She goes for a walk every day. However, she has been decreasing her distance over the years. This winter, she took up painting again, an activity she had really enjoyed before having children. She also started to write her memories and life experiences in a book. Socially, she belongs to a church where she attends each Sunday and plays bridge each week, as she has done for 40 or more years. She also receives and attends family gatherings and visits on a regular basis. Recently, she stopped swimming as she finds the pool too cold, and also stepped down as church volunteer as she didn't find it enjoyable anymore. By the way, this scenario is actually based on my late neighbor, Marie, who was a resident on Larch Place and was very active, even, and she would live to over 100. So in this case, you can tell that this is about self-preservation and continuity theories, specifically activity theory and continuity theory. In this scenario, there's sometimes, some activities like bridge and going to church, she's been doing for her whole life. So obviously continuity. But, she also kind of decided, she stepped down from a few roles. She's also started activities like she's doing her memoirs. And, she loves gardening. These are activities, she's maybe done forever. And, she used to paint. And, now in her 90s, she's decided, to take up painting again. Obviously, showing activity theory and kind of continuity, but something, that you cease doing for a period of time and then restart. And last scenario is the long weekend. I'd like to point out too that in multiple choice, the scenarios wouldn't be quite as long as I have been as I've presented here. They would be more likely represented like this one. It's just one or two sentences. So Roger's looking forward to his plans for the coming long weekend. He and his friends are going to the cabin to swim and hang out, do some canoeing, and enjoy late evenings by the fire with a drink in hand. Different theories. Well, obviously, most of this is just about enjoyment. So it's pleasure, relaxation, fun theories. He's having an enjoyable, brief experience at the cabin, and that will increase his well being. That's obviously related to subjective well being, which says, that enjoyable and social activities are going to increase your well being. And lastly, these activities obviously provide enhanced mood and happiness, for Roger. So any one of these types of theories would be appropriate. All right, I hope this helped you a little bit in understanding how to apply these theories. Again, on a multiple choice, the scenarios wouldn't be super long, like I have as long as I've presented here. And I'm not going to try to trick you. For example, in this example of the long weekend, I'm not going to put all three of those theories as answers. It would be things that are going to be obvious, like I might have enhancing mood and happiness, and then it might be leisure buffer theory, then it might be distraction theory, and you would be able to see that, well, obviously it's not distraction because there's no stress in his life, and well, it's not leisure buffer theory, again, no stress. So you could look at it that way. It's not about lifespan, it's not about identity formation. So you would be able to narrow it down that, well, it's got to be something to do with having fun and being happy.